Hey, how's it going everyone? I'm Martin and welcome back. So I wanted to use this video to go over a few final details from the Destiny 2 reveal that I haven't been able to cover in other videos. I wanted to discuss some ideas, clear up some things, and also point out some really interesting stuff that you may have missed from the trailers. I have quite a bit to talk about in this video, so do stay with me until the end if you're a fiend for Destiny 2 info just like me. The first thing I wanted to mention in this video is something that I don't think I've seen anyone else mention yet. So here we have this clip of a hunter sniping some Cabal, and if we pause it right here, you'll notice there's a bright blue light emanating from a box, and I believe this is a loot box. Then later on in the trailer, as this hunter is walking along this giant tree branch, a similar glow can also be seen in the background. Although the glow here looks a little bit different to the one from the Cabal clip, this one looks a little more Vex-like, and we can't actually see what's generating the light, so I'm not certain if this is also a loot box or something else, some kind of Vex thingy. But I guess this means that chests will now be a lot more noticeable, but I also wonder if perhaps this could actually be a loot chest that you get at the end of a Lost sector. In case you haven't been keeping up, Lost sectors are like Destiny 2's version of a dungeon that you would see from more traditional MMOs, where you enter a hidden area in patrol, fight through some enemies, and face a boss at the end who will drop a key to open a chest for some loot. These hidden Lost sectors can take place in areas such as cave systems. But what if this turns out to be, I'm guessing it's going to be a loot chest of some kind, and I thought I'd point it out because I haven't seen anyone talk about these yet. Anyway, moving on, two more things I want to point out from the trailer that are really interesting that I haven't seen anyone else talk about either yet. One of those things includes Cayde losing his foot. So in this scene where we can see the Traveler's Light being taken away from Zavala as he sits down, it looks as though he could be in the tower or somewhere in the city, and I noticed something weird behind him. In the background there's this weird tower of light, but I have no idea what this could be. I'm sure we'll get an explanation in game, but it looks very Vex-like in appearance. It almost looks like a Vex conflux or something. And then the second thing I noticed in the same scene, as I said earlier, Cayde has lost his foot. We can just catch a glimpse of Cayde sat down behind Zavala here, and if you look closely, you can see his foot has clearly been blown off. Thankfully Cayde is an Exo, so it's not like it would really hurt him or anything, but it's still kind of interesting. Because later on when Cayde heads to Nessus and gets caught in this Vex portal thing, you can see he has his foot back. So what's going on here? The simple answer is, well, obviously he just got a replacement foot, he's a robot, but I don't know if I quite buy that. Maybe he used the Vex tech to heal it or something, I really don't know, but I don't want to get into it too much here. I'd rather just wait until we have more information on this, but I wanted to mention this because I haven't seen anyone else talk about it. The next thing I wanted to touch on are weapon mods and attachments. I know this has already been covered a lot by others, so I don't want to get into it too much, but there is one thing in particular I do want to clarify. So just a brief, in the trailer when they hover over the weapons, there is a slot for mods, and at one point in the trailer we see a Guardian in a dark tunnel wielding a shotgun which has a flashlight on the end of it. Now a lot of people are suggesting that this is a weapon mod, and whilst this might still be true, I don't think it is. In fact, this is just to indicate that the player has power armor and that their weapon is loaded. In some of the Crucible gameplay captured at the reveal event, players wielding shotguns can also be seen with flashlights after they picked up power armor. Now, this could still be a mod that just only activates when you have power armor, but I don't think it is. I think it's just going to be a standard feature of shotguns now as a way of indicating to other players that your weapon is loaded. Now, a question I've been seeing quite a bit is, will the Warlock's Voidwalker subclass be returning? And the answer is yes. We've already gotten to play around with the revamped Gunslinger and Striker subclass at the reveal event, but in the trailers we also see that the Voidwalker has received the same treatment. We can see in this trailer this Warlock uses the Nova Bomb, and if you look closely, it now has a new ability. When the Nova Bomb kills this Vex, it splits off into smaller orbs that do more damage over a greater distance. And then at another point in the trailer, a Warlock throws their grenade and it has a similar effect where it splits off into more orbs, and it looks like an upgraded version of the Axiom Bolt grenade, in that the orbs that split off also appear to track enemies. And finally, just some small details about some of the locations that we'll be visiting in Destiny 2 that honestly aren't that important, at least not right now. I just want to point these out purely because I thought they were kind of interesting and had me wondering, and so I thought maybe somebody else will find these interesting as well. So first off, during some of the shots overlooking the European Dead Zone, you can obviously see there's this huge Cabal base acting as some kind of staging ground for the Cabal. There's huge Cabal starships landed at the base, but if you look very closely, you'll see that behind the base, that is not a mountain, and in fact is some kind of wall or some kind of gate built by the Cabal, and you can see this perfectly cut out V-shape, and that had me really wondering what is going on here. Could it be part of a mission or a raid or something where we invade a Cabal base? I'm really not sure, but I wanted to bring this up because some people may have mistaken this for a mountain, when in fact this seems like it could be kind of important at some point or another in the game. I feel like this is one of those details that wasn't just thrown in there for no reason, but I guess we'll see. I also just want to mention that the Cabal starship that is landed next to the base appears to be an actual explorable location, because there are some scenes in the trailer that actually take place just next to and underneath the ship, so I'm guessing this is going to be part of a mission or a strike. It's essentially the equivalent of a fallen Cayde. Alright, so whilst I was editing this video, I actually noticed a couple of the things about this scene taking place beneath this Cabal starship, which could either be a mission or a strike, as I said, that I just wanted to point out. So if you'll notice, here the ship has an orange shield around it, but then later on does not. So if you look closely and go frame by frame, this shot with the tanks, there's actually more than one tank. There's another tank behind this one in front, which is a little bit more difficult to see, but you can see the headlights on the front. So I guess this means if you're playing as a fire team, then there's going to be tanks for everyone. Then if you look even closer, you'll notice that the shield appears to be projected by this device right here, and I'm guessing that if this is part of a strike mechanic, we'll have to take down the shield by destroying this thing just underneath it that also appears to be covered by another shield. Then once the shield is down, I noticed this single frame right here where it appears as though there's an object that's highlighted there in blue, and I'm guessing we're going to have to destroy that as well before we can enter the ship. So I guess this is where the tanks could come into play and use the firepower of those tanks to destroy this highlighted object. So that's just all I wanted to point out here real quick. Anyway, back to the video. Then on Nessus we have some really interesting architecture going on here. There are these weird floating cubes, which I'm sure there'll be an explanation for, and on the right of this shot there are these giant shards of glass that are the same kind seen in the Atheon fight in the Vault of Glass. Then on Arya, there's another Cabal base set up here. You can tell because it has the same recognizable architecture, the same theme or aesthetic of the Cabal. But what's more interesting about this shot is this thing on the right side of the screen. It looks to be a smaller version of the big rotating thing seen in the speaker's room. And for those that don't know, this thing actually has a name. It's called the Vitalis. So it's kind of interesting that the Vitalis from the speaker's room is also here on Arya, which happens to be the last place the Traveller touched before the arrival of the Darkness. I wonder where these Guardians are standing. Coming up on the final few things I wanted to talk about in this video here. So two things I wanted to point out in this scene of a Titan Fist of Havoc in these Fallen. Firstly, in the background there are these blue beams of light, although I've no idea what they could be for, possibly a mission or patrol item or something. And the second thing, it's nothing really important to be honest, but I wanted to point it out purely just because I thought it was a cool detail, and maybe somebody else will find this cool as well. So this whole area on Nessus, we can see there's wreckage everywhere, and if you look closely you'll actually notice that this is the wreckage of a colony ship, as in the same colony ships that tower over the Cosmodrome in Old Russia. You can see in the background here one of these smaller shuttles is still attached to the main body of the ship. So it's possible that perhaps this may have been one of the first few ships humans used to colonize Nessus or something during the Golden Age. Again, I just wanted to point this out just because I thought it was a neat touch to the environment and made it a little bit cooler, but maybe that's just me. And finally, something I just wanted to clear up in regards to factions In one of my previous videos I made talking about factions and the new faction weapons and armor and such, I said that there didn't appear to be any future war cult, at least in the trailers, but I was wrong. There's actually one scene where we actually get a glimpse at the future war cult hunter armor, and it's right here. We can see the future war cult logo on this hunter's chest piece. So for any of you confused or wondering if the future war cult would be returning or not, well, here's your answer. It definitely is. Also, I just want to point out how epic this new monarchy armor looks in this shot right here. Seeing this armor on the right has made me so much more happier that I main Titan. It literally looks like a knight or something. Anyway, so I think that is just about everything I wanted to cover. There's some stuff I intentionally left out, such as the fact that Iron Banner is going to be returning, and there are going to be a much wider variety of swords now, just because I feel like that's already been covered enough by other people, and I wanted to focus this video more on things that I haven't seen people talking about, and to just clarify a few other things. So I really do hope that you enjoyed this video and found it informative. A lot of detail went into this, so likes are very much appreciated. Be sure to check out some of my previous videos if you're new around here, and consider subscribing. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.